Aloha and welcome to Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the Think Tech Hawaii Broadcast Network. I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute. One of the good things about Hawaii, of course, is the weather where we live. Another one is the people, and we always hear great things about the people and about the weather, making Hawaii one of the world's greatest tourist destinations. At the same time, those of us who live here know that there's a dark side of paradise, and sad to say, it's there day and night. The growing population of the homeless and the poor in our very wealthy society. We have some of the highest incomes in the nation. We have some of the highest property values for homes. We have some of the wealthiest people in the country living here either in first or second homes. And yet, Hawaii is now the fastest growing nation for homelessness. We are the #1 nation per capita for the population of the homeless. Did you know that? Well, if you've lived here in Hawaii, you probably have started to realize that. You've looked around and you've seen whether it's in downtown Honolulu or in other of our cities on the neighbor islands or on the rural areas. You've seen the growth of the homeless population. One of the largest tent cities has been here in Kaka'ako. But I'll tell you one of the things that I've seen that really breaks my heart, and I'm sure it breaks yours as well. 20 years ago, I didn't see little infants and children playing in the roads in front of homeless camps and so forth. Today, that is all too common a sight. From time to time, we feature here on Ehana Kako exemplars, leaders who are in the field, boots on the ground, doing something about the homelessness situation, but doing it in a way that makes sense in the long run. One of the frustrations about homelessness here in Hawaii and solving it is that many of the short-term solutions are just that. They are short-term. And so we're excited whenever we see folks working on longer-term solutions, and I have one today. Eric Butler began his career in helping to solve the problem of homelessness in Mumbai, India, where he started a non-governmental organization, which we're going to talk about today, as we do three things. In our first segment, we're going to talk with Eric a bit about what's going on over there in India that possibly could change the way we deal with homelessness here in Hawaii. Secondly, I think you'll be intrigued when we come back from a break and discuss Eric's own personal story, why he's motivated to doing what he's doing, how he moved from homelessness to being a leader in the field of solving homelessness. And third, we'll talk about Hawaii, which is very important. We've got to find solutions, and we'll be back and discuss that later on today. But first, please welcome with me to our program our guest, Eric Butler. Aloha, Eric. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, you had a group called the World Peace Plan.
Still do.
And it's in Mumbai. It's also located in what other cities?
Just Mumbai right now. We have a prototype project over there of 24 people who are on our reading program trying to end poverty with literacy.
Well, that's great. We're going to talk a bit about that. But I do think you have some operations elsewhere in the country, in the United States. Here,
oh, yes,
here
yes,
in Hawaii.
yes. Here in Hawaii. We're looking at Oregon, possibly Florida, New York, LA. Go to California this week. There's the really challenging areas is where we want to go. LA just declared a state of emergency and homelessness 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so you're watching this carefully and trying to take your model and move it elsewhere. You're one of the growing number of Americans whose travel has turned to a form of service in the world. It used to be that we would perhaps send a check to an organization, a charity that would deliver services and handouts to people across the world. Then we began to go ourselves, as you've done. And now it seems that a good number of people are starting non-government organizations, 501c3 nonprofit organizations. Well, do you see a lot of this happening?
Well, sure. Once you find out what's really happening, that a lot of money isn't really making it to the people that need it, then you just absolutely have to say, somebody's got to do this right. Somebody's got to change this. There's a lot of great organizations out there that are doing something. The only difference in our organization is that we really don't believe in handouts. There always has to be an exchange. There has to always be a free market value so that everybody can pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
In fact, that commitment to free market value is something that distinguishes the kind of program you run. Because, as you told me before, you're not interested in merely putting handouts into the hands of people. You have a philosophy about this.
Well, you know, it's degrading to be on the other end of a handout. Because everybody has a certain amount of dignity and self-respect and self-esteem. And whenever you have that situation occur. Yeah, if it's an emergency like a disaster, sure, people understand it. But on an ongoing basis, that's not what it's really supposed to be designed for.
India is one of the largest nations, or a nation into which the largest quantities of handouts have been sent from governments across the world, particularly the United States, and philanthropists at every level, middle class and wealthy people across the world.
Yes.
How effective has it been, this campaign over the last decades?
I really can't speak toward that, but I can tell you that I do know the statistics on Mumbai on a global scale.
Tell us about that.
Economically, it's the most challenging place in the world. It's a democracy, and yet they still have 22 million people living in a poverty situation in just one city.
In a sense, they're still waiting to make democracy work the way it should work.
Yeah, I think that's a real key component right there. And that's how come, thanks to the internet, thanks to PayPal, thanks to other things that exist in economy, we can actually make a different change all around the globe and kind of just make it right on the ground.
You've adopted an approach that involves reading.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Education, I think everybody agrees, is going to be a really important part to ending poverty. Education is always a part of it. So why not end poverty with literacy? Why not create a program where by having them read and write and they earn something rather than just give them something?
Well, let me play devil's advocate for
Sure.
a moment, because we're going through a debate in our own country where we're saying, why should we send kids to college to learn Chaucer and Shakespeare and literature and philosophy and religion and other seemingly less hard topics, when what we should do is train them in high school for a trade and so forth. We seem to be thinking that literacy and literature are not all that valuable in making a living. You seem to be going the opposite direction in a nation that's even more difficult to live in than the United States.
Well, I'm in the same direction. Only thing that I'm saying is that instead of teaching a person how to sew, because in India, you have a lot of people with a sewing machine in their house. They're sewing from 16, 18, maybe 20 hours a day, and they're still earning a pittance, and they're not getting any smarter. So why not use something that's going to make them a smarter, more intelligent, more loving, kind human being, like something that is more toward self-development, something more toward spiritual development, something more that will give them the tools, the real tools that we need in life to get through in life, which is perseverance, hard work, purpose, kindness, generosity.
Now, I don't hear you attacking technical and vocational education, but what I hear you saying is that that's not enough. Even though the individual might be trained in sewing or some kind of trade, that there is something else, another component that is essential for rising from poverty.
Absolutely. I mean, here we are. When I'm in Mumbai, I'm watching a group of people, men, women, and children, working for what's 2 rupees a day, which is just enough to get a little bit to eat. And they're moving a pile of dirt from one side to the other side, okay? They're doing something totally insignificant. They're not getting any smarter. They're not going to benefit their community. Now, you can give somebody a broom in America and say, go sweep up this area, or go clean up this park, or go pick up this trash. They're not getting any smarter, and that's the problem.
Why is literacy, the ability to read and the capacity to read good literature, necessary to lift someone up from poverty and put them onto a track of personal and financial prosperity?
Well, this is just in my opinion, but if we really look at our past as individuals, we go back and we've read certain things, we've heard certain things from other people. Mother Teresa, live simply so other people can simply live. If you let those kinds of words go into you, and they will change you, or you don't allow it to get in, but the idea that they existed, and it creates a thought. And once you've created that thought, the mind is the biggest resource on the planet. And so I believe that eventually our future is dependent upon people who are coming into this planet who may be very brilliant, but are yet born in circumstances that aren't going to work for them. Bill Gates, if he was born in the middle of Africa, he may not be who he is today.
Now tell me a little bit about how your program, World Peace Plan in Mumbai, is actually promoting literacy and helping people to be transformed.
Well, we're working with 3 people over there. These 3 gentlemen are different face altogether.
These are your staff there?
Yes, and they're World Peace Plan / India. And so they basically, I'll tell you, I got 24 stories because we've got 24 people on the program. One girl is 13 years old named Shishama. Her family actually was going to trade her off to another villager for a cow. She's at 13 years old, marriageable age. Now, one of our guys went to the family, asked them if they would like to put her on the reading program, and she would do the reading program like a job, 8 hours a day, earn $20 a month in a place where $12.87 is the poverty line? They said yes.
My goodness. Now, so this young woman was going to be traded for a cow
Yeah.
out of the desperation of their family economically.
It's all economics.
She had become a commodity, although I'm not judging her
Oh,
feelings,
yeah, we don't judge
their feelings
culture.
for her,
No.
but that was the reality. And you gave her the capacity to earn how much per...
Well, the program in worldpeaceplan.org is $20 a month.
So she's getting $20 a month. Now, tell our American and Western audience what $20 a month is compared to that family's income, if you can.
In America, what is the minimum wage that somebody could actually live off of? You take that, and that's what's comparable. So if the poverty line is $12.87 there, maybe $1,000. I'm not sure what the minimum wage level is here, but that's equal to like having a government job, say. Okay, where you have the security of you're going to be in good shape.
So the program is clearly not just a minimal handout. This girl is earning as much, if probably more income than her entire family.
Oh, well, that's a whole other thing right there, because we have another woman on the program who was a great example. She had a sewing machine right in the video where we were shooting, where she's reading on the same table where her sewing machine is. She's making more money doing that. Now, the paradigm that's going to shift is that she's empowered as a woman in this country because now she's earning more than her husband.
That's incredible. And as a result, they see the value of literacy. Now, and I'd like you to explain that a little bit more here. Where does literacy come in to this? Is it basically that they're being paid to learn?
Yeah, they're paid to learn. Reading is fundamental. It's a basic thing, but writing is what makes it different. That is where you're actually taking an action, where whatever is going into you is flowing through you, inspiring you, and it comes out in your hand. That would be the ultimate part, where we'd have somebody reading something and they would write what they would get inspired to write. Other people might just copy because they're just kind of learning. Other people may be totally illiterate, and so we start with ABC 1, 2, 3s. Do a page of A's, do a page of B's, use the language that you want, and you move from A's and B's to 2-letter words, 3-letter words, sentences, and then you go on. That's literacy. It's that simple.
Do you have any story of an individual who has benefited significantly by the literacy itself that they have acquired, by the reading that they have started to do?
Other than the spiritual books that they choose, it's all intrinsic. It's for them, and it's their own personal walk in life. They can actually write down their feelings about what they get. But right now, most people are just copying. We're talking about a culture where maybe expression isn't as great as it is here in America. We have freedom of speech, have had it for some time, and we enjoy it.
You mentioned copying. They're copying large quantities of literature, and you mentioned spiritual books. But is this your choice as to what they read, or do they
choose their own spiritual book?
For example?
They choose whatever it is. If they are a Christian, they choose the Bible, and they might choose the Bible. If they're a Muslim, they might choose the Quran. If they're Hindu, they might choose a mantra. Whatever your belief is. And if you're totally non-religious, then we'll start with law.
Okay.
You got to land of your law, because even in Hawaii, they don't stop. If you get stopped by a cop for speeding or going through a red light, he doesn't ask you what religion you are. You're getting a ticket. So you got to learn the law.
Well, that's incredible. So you're empowering them to have access to their own cultural traditions.
Yes.
You're not bringing in a separate culture.
No,
and
this
saying,
is not proselytizing.
Now, as a result of growth in terms of literacy, the ability to read, the ability to write, and then to do a trade, what are you envisioning for these people? What are they envisioning for themselves in the future?
Well, right now, what we have is just a monetary exchange. What they do with it is what they do with it. And we have people whose lives are changing, like Shushamas. What we visualize in the future is that we will actually be able to provide some sort of housing where they can work harder and earn a place to stay.
Well, that's exciting. We'll talk about that after a break, but I picked up something from you, and tell me if I'm right. You mentioned religious books or spiritual books and said it's their choice.
Yeah.
You mentioned the monetary exchange that you give in the program, that it's not a handout, it's an actual monetary exchange.
Yeah.
And then you said what they do with the money is their choice.
Yes.
Is individual freedom and liberty a key value?
I'm afraid, Joe, that's what the power of choice does. See, we work off of productivity. It's an exchange, okay? Now, we don't have anybody in the program that I know of that's like this, but if they earn $20 a month and they go spend it all on liquor, okay, but they can still do the job, and they deliver handwritten copies,
This is fascinating because you see, you're providing not only a free market experience, you're actually backing off and saying, we respect your individual liberty.
Yeah.
That's great.
We
We're
just
going to
want
talk
to
some more
produce.
about this. You know, I'm excited the more I talk with Eric, because I learned of many values we have in common. At the Grassroots Institute, we believe in individual liberty, free markets, limited accountable government. And from time to time, it's really been, it is our pleasure and our mission to put before you individuals who are transforming their part of the world and Hawaii. We'll be back with Eric Butler to ask him a bit more about his own motivation, as well as how we can transfer what he's learned in India to Hawaii. I'm Keli'i Akina. We'll be right back on Think Tech Hawaii in just a moment. Don't go away.
Aloha, my name is Jim Sean, and I'm host of a show called Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. Each week, live streaming at noon on Think Tech Hawaii, we interview people who have special insights into education, from early education through K-12, all the way through higher education and beyond. Both public and private are areas we're interested in. We dig deeper. We try to find out what it's really like to be involved in making change, advocating for it, how you reform, what people's philosophies are in reforming it. As I said, we're live streaming every Wednesday at noon on Think Tech Hawaii. And later on, you can find these interviews on YouTube and on the Hawaii Educational Policy Center website. We hope you join us as many times as possible. Aloha.
Welcome back to Ehana Kako, here every week on the Think Tech Hawaii Broadcast Network. I've got to tip my hat to Jay Fidel, the producer, as well as all of the wonderful people in studio here. They're putting together about 35 hours of live original content every week that streams across the world, and you can access it on thinktechhawaii.com. We're proud at the Grassroots Institute to be partners with Think Tech Hawaii. At the Grassroots Institute, we say something that is very common here in Hawaii, or sounds like a very common saying, e pule kako, let's pray together. At the Grassroots Institute, we say, e hana kako, let's work together. Imagine how terrible Hawaii would be if we didn't work together. We want to work together to build a better economy, government, and society based upon the principles of the Constitution of the United States and free market enterprise. I'm going back right now into a very fascinating conversation with Eric Butler of worldpeaceplan.org, and I hope you look them up at worldpeaceplan.org. He's started a literacy building program in Mumbai, India, watching people in exchange for money create new lives for themselves, undergirded with the principle of individual responsibility and choice. And now I'm going to ask him some questions about what motivates people to do this. Eric, again, fascinating first part of the program.
And thank you again for having me on your show.
You know, and I'm thinking about why Americans in particular and others from across the world are starting nonprofit organizations. You make your living here in the United States, and you out of your own pocket, you've funded a great deal of this organization, as do your workers and volunteers. Why? Why not? Let me ask a negative first. Why not leave it to the United Nations or the world organizations that do charity, or to the United States government, or to your church or any other church? Why not leave it to organizations and you simply do your part of sending your $5 a month or whatever it may be?
There's some really great organizations out there. I happen to be a member of the United Nations Association of Hawaii, too. We partner with a lot of organizations to make a difference. And so...
But why isn't that enough for you as a wage-earning American to say, I'm just going to send my portion?
I would have to say that after raising my 3 children, homeschooling them, and seeing them doing quite well, that then freed me up in order to make the world an even better place for my grandson and my grandchildren, because I'm going to have a second one in December. So it's like, that is probably my biggest motivation, besides just the fact that it's the right thing to do. People are making a difference all over. If somebody feels like they have the time and energy like I do, about making a very specific difference, it's a challenge because mine's a little different. We're so used to handouts that just saying you have to earn it is a little bit different.
Well, from the first part of our program, I learned that you have some very strong philosophical thoughts about rising from poverty, and that it's got to be something not based on being given a hand down, but reaching up by one's own bootstraps, as it were, to earn a living. What is the role of earning, and what is the value of work in an individual's life?
Earning is directly, from my viewpoint, related to our feeling of self-worth and self-esteem. How can a grown man or woman stand in front of their child who's looking up to them, feel respected by that child, and be a role model for that child if they're not earning what they're supposed to do? They need to be that example for their children.
So being paid to earn, actually to do work, to learn, do work, although that work is learning, in exchange for a cash value, is much deeper than simply putting coins in one's pocket. It's something that builds, according to you, their very value, their self-worth.
Yeah, regardless of what spiritual book there is, it's the words in the book that empower a person. It's the words that change a person.
Right. I was honing in also on what you've made clear about the value of actually having that exchange for money. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, as opposed to merely being given money or being given services? The fact that people who don't seem to be engaged in work activity are now given that capacity. What happens to somebody when they're not
if they're not making an exchange? There's a feeling of entitlement.
Okay.
And that feeling of entitlement, I'm saying this just from the idea that I've read a lot of, touched base with a lot of people who have been on, and they expect certain things. They have an expectation level that they have for things that they haven't even worked for.
Now that entitlement is a sense that somebody else will be providing for them, that they deserve that.
And it's the same entitlement that you were asking me about, of why should I let somebody else take care of this situation? It was here before I got here, it was here ever since this time, and now, guess what? It's my turn.
Well, in other words, if it's not me, it's not going to be.
Well, I'm going to be a part of the solution,
That's right.
not the problem.
So this idea that there's entitlement for benefits is in direct contrast to the idea that if I'm going to have something, I go out and earn it.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, I really, truly do feel that way, because we worked with certain churches. Our organization has fed a lot of homeless people for years, and a lot of them help out, whether it's helping them move the food, transport the food, clean up afterwards. A lot of them are diligent. Not everybody is.
Sure.
So
I'm going to push you on this a little bit, because I can hear some voices on the outside saying, but that's fine for Gordon Gekko, who can play the stock market and say, I'm not going to be a beggar, but I'm going to be somebody who earns everything. Or that's fine for an able-bodied individual who can go out and work. But what about the poor who are not able-bodied? What about those who are mentally challenged? What about those who have conditions that are just extraordinary? Are you, Eric, saying that their value is wrong? Are you saying we shouldn't have a safety net? Are you saying
in our capitalistic society, the guy on Wall Street is very talented? Okay, they can rip a lot of money out of society, and they can do whatever they want with it. Not everybody is born with that innate ability. Sometimes people are able to develop it. Others aren't, and in our capitalistic society, we don't presently have a safety net for those who aren't born or able to develop some kind of ability. So are we just going to throw them to the side? Well, we can't do a big slum city like Mumbai if this continues. We are America. We can't do tent cities like on the mainland. We're Hawaii. We have to do something different. Aloha. We need to develop something here that will be a prototype for the rest of the world.
So let me make this clear. What I'm not hearing from you is a personal attack upon people who are entitlement-oriented and incapable of anything but receiving entitlements, or excuse me, receiving benefits or care from others. You're not attacking this.
No, absolutely not.
But what you are saying is, let's be realistic, in a place like Mumbai or even in Honolulu, the resources really aren't here for this mythical safety net.
Exactly.
And we're actually doing a disservice to people to have them believe in the safety net when they should be out there learning how to earn.
Okay, look at the number of college graduates that are unemployed, looking for a job, cannot find it. They are not there, okay? So what we need to do is develop another economic type of structure based on this, based on the mind. And that's where we're going to make the real difference.
You're very strong in your beliefs and in the power of literacy to transform, especially when it's focused on good literature. But I think, if you don't mind, I'd like to go into a more personal level.
Sure.
You yourself were homeless for a period of time. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, when I first came to Hawaii, like a lot of people, I wasn't even aware of how difficult it was because I already knew that I was searching for meaning and purpose in life. So I just knew that I'd had unfortunately my car died, so I parked it on a 4th floor parking garage. I paid rent, I was a graphic artist, I'd do enough just to pay for that little stall and get enough to eat. And after that, I spent all my time at the library, reading all kinds of spiritual ideas to try and find a meaning and purpose in life.
How long were you homeless?
4 years.
4 years, for a period of 4 years. Now, what you just described a happy, if I want to know if I would use the word happy, but a productive capacity to stay in a location, to do work, to get cash, and to go and study. But was it always like that?
For me, it was.
Okay.
And so I spent most of my time, there was another abandoned car on the upper level, the 5th floor. And so I always worked with different homeless people and put them in that car, got them a place to, we went and got food for them, got clothes for them, got a job for them. Okay, because a lot of people don't know how to get a job. You just don't put in one application and then wait for it. Your job for 8 hours a day is to go get a job. And so I'd work with them like that during the day until I met Lewis.
How about that? Now, you began to mentor, if you will, other homeless in how to be productive.
Yeah, because I was there by choice. It wasn't like I couldn't get off the ground. When I met Lewis, Lewis was an older guy than me. I'd sent him in to, Denny's at the time. It was in the Miramar Hotel before they tore it down.
Remember that
and he came out, and I'm in the lobby. I'm eating, reading the newspaper. He comes out with the application and says, well, they want me to bring it back. And I said, sit down, fill it out now. 15, 20 minutes go by, I figure he's almost done. I glance over, he only had an X on the paper. He couldn't read.
Right.
And that's what it said, there's something much bigger, much more of a problem here. And so I got off, started my first business, mailbox service, telex service, photo processing service, and that's where I started at.
And you worked your way back up. But now, what motivates you to continue to work to resolve the problem of homelessness?
One of the biggest things that happened to me was I've been a building manager for 26 years now. Being a resident building manager, when you have, the people in the building, and things happen for them, good or bad. And just so happens a young couple upstairs had a newborn baby. He lost his job. I also knew the owner of the building, good friend for years. And so he's got mortgage to pay. They can't make it. He's got to have them out. I'm the manager. I got to help put his friends on the street because I didn't have a solution. That's tough with a new baby.
You're managing a couple of buildings.
Yeah, I manage a couple
right
of buildings.
Now, and that experience of having to put people out on the street affected you quite a bit then.
Well, sure. It wasn't just that incident because Hawaii's a tough place. So even down around the corner, one of my son's best friends, they weren't able to make it. They had spent a small time of homelessness, and then they went back to California.
From a street level as opposed to a study level, we have lots of studies of this at the Grassroots Institute, but what do you observe here in Honolulu as being the causes for homelessness for the people who are on the streets?
Pure economics. You've got people who just can't earn enough because that's the number one thing that puts people on the street. If you're not making close to $30 an hour here, then you are in that funnel. That's our potential. The people who should be looking at this really closely are anybody who is in Hawaii who's not earning close to $30 an hour. You, as costs still go up, you are at the bottom of that funnel, and it's a big funnel coming our way.
How many people are involuntarily or forced to be homeless, and how many, not in comparison, how many are like yourself, who chose to be homeless for a period of time, or even with less noble pursuits.
Well, what's interesting is that I work with Susan Chun Oakland. I was the 96813 block captain for homelessness here in Hawaii on her committee. And basically, Hawaii has the largest number of fully employed, hardworking homeless people. It's just a matter of the fact that even in one of the buildings, 300 square feet is $1,300 a month. I mean, who can afford that? You gotta have at least 2 people and 300 square feet studios. So it's just difficult.
Other than immigrants who are coming from Micronesia under our COFA agreement, one of the largest categories for homelessness, the growth of homelessness, is people whom you've described. Individuals who have jobs, individuals who are maintaining families, taking care of their kids, have them in school, have vehicles, internet, etc. But they can't make that last rental payment. They can't make that last mortgage payment. And so the gap is too great. They have to survive somehow.
Yeah, it's all economics. So you got a lot of people who are living in vehicles. And then they outlaw, that's actually against the law, but they let up on that a little bit. You had people who are just trying to drive to work and having a hard time, and they sleep in their vehicles. They were getting in trouble too. But the bottom line is, once you hit the ground, it's kind of hard to get that deposit up. I mean, you're going to need at least $2,500 to get into any place.
Well, we're going to come back right after a short break, and I advise our viewers that we've got a good deal of research taking place at the Grassroot Institute, and I invite you to visit grassrootinstitute.org. One of the research projects we're working on are 10 free market policies that will resolve homelessness and much of poverty. And what am I talking about when I say free market? We're not talking about Gordon Gekko. We're not talking about having no government at all. We are saying there are certain things that our government does that keeps the down and out. One has to do with the amount of affordable housing, and you can read about the 9 others. If we could change those, we could solve this problem. But what Eric is doing, along with countless others, is a boots on the ground approach that we praise, because we need both policy change and we need people out there who are transforming lives. We'll be right back on Ehana Kako on the Think Tech Hawaii Broadcast Network after the short break.
Aloha, I'm Kirsten Baumgart-Turner, and I host Sustainable Hawaii every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. My guests offer insights on challenging economic and environmental issues facing our state and offer innovative solutions to increasing Hawaii's long-term sustainability. Recently, we've been focusing on sustainable land development, food, and energy security. If you have a project or issue you'd like to discuss on the show or would like to be a guest, please contact me at kirstenbturner@gmail.com and tune in live weekly or view the show at your convenience at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.
Welcome back to our final segment today of Ehana Kako. Let's work together each week here on the Think Tech Hawaii Broadcast Network. We've had a fascinating discussion with Eric Butler, and now what I'd like to do is bring that conversation home here to Hawaii. And if you're watching us from another city across the country or nation, it's probably applicable to your city as well. As mentioned earlier, Hawaii now has the highest per capita population of homeless in the nation. And one of the reasons that's so happens to be the level of benefits that are immediately available to individuals, such that there are many people across the nation who are flocking to Hawaii, which is putting a burden that we can't handle really on our social services system. We're probably going to talk about that and other things as I go to Eric. Eric, well, welcome to our final segment today.
Thanks again.
Both as a participant in homelessness,
Yes.
and now as a leader who is creating housing solutions as far away as Mumbai, India. You've experienced it. You've talked to the people involved in it and so forth. What is your take on the approach to solving homelessness here in Honolulu or in Hawaii in general?
The biggest thing we're going to have to do here is less is more.
Less is more.
Less is
Explain
more.
that.
What we're doing out in Kaka'u is a great project, fantastic, taking these containers and building them, and we're going to help 87 people when there's about 7,500 people homeless in Hawaii. So that's not going to really do much of it.
It won't solve the
Right,
problem.
right.
It's a step that transforms a few lives for a period of time.
Yeah.
But what's lacking here? And not to criticize the short-term steps
Not at all.
or the immediate.
Not at all.
But to leave it at that, what would be missing?
Understanding that there's certain lifestyles that we live, and trying to impose those upon the homeless people when about half of them don't want it. They want to live on the street. That's fine, you know, because that's what they want. But it's us who us who are homeowners, and we don't really want to see that, have to explain it to our children, you know, things like that. What the homeless, from my point of view, really want is a place to sleep and a place to store their stuff. That's all they need. If they can have a place to sleep 9 to 5, 9 at night to 5 in the morning, get their 8 hours of sleep where they can have a good rest, they can actually go to work. If they can store their stuff somewhere, then they can lock it up, just some place to store it while they're out applying for a job. You ask them, why don't you go get a job? Who's going to watch my stuff? That's the problem. They've got to have, if they got a place to store their stuff, we won't see those buggies pushed around anymore. If they have a place, we won't be seeing them with their backpacks on. Most of the things when you see them is they're carrying around their bedding. If they have just a storage locker and a place to get 9 to 5.
Okay, so you're talking about what I would call a logistical approach.
Yes, just something
a place
for an
to
emergency.
stay, a logistics of a place to store property, and so forth. What has to happen beyond that to begin the transformation?
Yeah.
What do you think we need to be doing more of based upon your work in Mumbai?
Yeah. Well, like in Mumbai, that's where it starts. Okay, you take people off the street. You give them an emergency pod or something where they can be out of the rain. Okay, where they can be in a safe place where they're not in fear, that they can get a good night's sleep, where they can be safe and not worry about a sweep coming in the middle of the night and taking all their stuff, okay? They just need that. That sense of security is going to help most of their mental stability, just having that alone. And then we can start to work on the other programs. Then a lot of it will work itself out if we can just let them have those two things.
You've developed an approach in Mumbai, which we did not talk about in the first segment. We talked primarily about the personal transformation, the literacy programs, and so forth. But you have a product, if you will, an object called a pod that you've developed. Well, explain that a little bit. What this pod is, and
we have a couple of architects helping to design it right now. Well, next few weeks we'll have a prototype finished. But the pod is basically, we call it a portable emergency pod, okay? It's for like an emergency situation like we have right here, that our legislation, our governor, mayor declared an emergency state of homelessness. Now, what's that mean? That just means you declared it, but what are you going to do about it? Well, we're going to get some more federal funds, or we're going to try and build use more space, like all these trailers all over the place. Well, we don't even allow trailers here now. So what we can do with these emergency pods, they're just simply a place, they're portable. So if we can get private industry, people who have land, just to let us use it for a few months, say 3 or 4 months at a time, maybe 6, maybe a year, just lease it to us for a year, those are portable pods that sit on top. There's nothing done. If you are a landowner and you let us use it for 6 or 12 months, and then you need your land because you're going to sell it, they can be gone in just a matter of days and move someplace else. The ideal situation would be able to be having a few private landowners where we can move them around.
that seems to meet a need that has emerged in the recent debates on how to help the homeless. So we've talked often and on this program about Housing First, which is a federally subsidized program to get people into housing without letting them be disqualified for their issues related to health or drugs or alcohol or lifestyle. Get them into the housing and then start to work on that. But there's been a problem that has become well known here in Hawaii, and that is we can't go from zero, no housing, to a house with the shortage of housing.
Right.
And there's very little in between. We're struggling to move people from sidewalk space to other sidewalk space. We're proposing various units to be put temporarily and so forth on government land or private sector land. But what you're talking about is a real meeting of needs in the middle. And this is a tough zone because zoning.
Yeah, zoning
the real
permits.
problem.
Those, in a state of emergency, there should be something that actually makes a difference. So there are people who want to put like a little shelter on their property outside for some people, but zoning and permitting won't allow it.
It sounds like you're making reference to something that was announced in the midway through October 2015 when we're recording this. It sounds like you have a suggestion for a governor who has declared a state of emergency on the housing situation, the homelessness situation here in Hawaii. And one of your suggestions you've just made here is that he used the powers of his state of emergency to cut through zoning regulations.
That would help. That would help. Well, the
For
regulation,
example,
there's at least a half, well, the portable emergency pods.
Right.
Okay, the first designs of them weren't going to pass any kind of codes or anything. They couldn't be units for all these different reasons. But now what we have is it's portable. It's key. You're not going to be able to put anything, plumbing lines or things like that in.
So you've at least done the work with your professionals on getting this pod designed so that it comes under the zoning restrictions as a portable, movable device.
Yes.
Okay, you've done that, but now for locating it and locating groups of people who will be on land, whether it's private or public, aren't there zoning regulations that would impede that as well?
Yes, but in this case of emergency, this can be used anywhere in the world.
So this is the opportunity for the government to take advantage of individuals like yourself who are proposing solutions from the private sector.
These should be in existence already, because if Hawaii has a hurricane and thousands of people are displaced from their homes, there's a place for them to go. They get to store their stuff, their bedding, they've got a place that they can stay.
Well, this is something we learned the hard way during Hurricane Katrina and other emergencies that we've had. The real absence of something in the middle between a permanent domicile and having nothing at all. Now, this unit here, this pod, will be available when?
Well, in 3 weeks we'll have a prototype where we're going to start to film homeless people. First of all, first thing that some people have commented is they say, oh, homeless people would never like that. Well, you and I are used to having a full-on bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, and stuff like that. They just want to be out of the rain. So we've got to go from where they're at. They just want to be able to sleep all night without being harassed. That's all they want. So let's design these things and put them out there.
We could talk for a very long time about these kinds of exciting solutions. Grassroots Institute is working throughout the islands with organizations that actually are trying to find space between the laws in order for the private sector to come in with solutions. And I want to commend you and all of these others in nonprofit and private sector who are saying, you're going to do it, and it's not going to be left to the
This isn't a one-size-fits-all. This is for individuals. This is for maybe singles, veterans, things like that. I mean, that would open up more space in the actual housing units of other groups that we collaborate with for whole families to stay.
We've got one last minute. I'd like you to use that time to talk about how you could bring some of your lessons about individual transformation and literacy from Mumbai to Honolulu or the neighbor islands.
I think my biggest takeaway is less is more. We have so much stuff here in America. We get houses, we fill it full of stuff, then we buy more space, then we get storage units to store more stuff. The simplicity of life. What Mother Teresa said again, my favorite quote, live simply so that others can simply live.
Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate you being on the program today very much and wish you the best. My guest, Eric Butler, worldpeaceplan.org. Go and visit their website, see the exciting things they're doing. Lessons from Mumbai that we might put in place here in Honolulu. One of the things that struck me the most was the importance of helping people have the dignity that comes only when they are earning their way in life rather than receiving handouts. I'm Kili'i Akina with the Grassroots Institute on Think Tech Hawaii, here every week on Ehana Kako. We'll see you next week. Aloha.